Welcome to the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show podcast from Real Country 92.1 Hank FM. Brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo. Recorded live every Monday night at 7 from the new Jake's Burgers in Aledo. And now with Aledo Bearcats head coach Robby Jones, the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist.
Play of the first quarter, the Bearcats facing 3rd down and 10. Henjny to throw, fires down the far side of the field looking for Ray Guillory, and he's got it! Touchdown!
And that was the second touchdown that the Bearcats scored right before the end of the first quarter, and that was pretty much indicative of how their night went. They executed in all phases, and they went on to defeat Centennial out of Burleson by a score of 42-0. Hi, everybody. Kevin Lonnquist coming to you from inside of Jake's here on 1187 because of the cooler weather that's outside, so we're happy to have you with us. A big Monday night as we're recording this because we just got done watching the Rangers go up 2-0 over the Houston Astros in the American League Championship Series, and of course a lot of people sticking around tonight on Monday night because they're going to watch the Cowboys take on the Los Angeles Chargers out on the West Coast. And we're happy to have you with us again. We had more than 100 downloads from last week's show, and of course we're going to have a special 3-segment show for you this week. In our second segment, after we're done with Coach Jones, we're going to have quarterback Haus and linebacker Davhon. They were so popular in the opening show that we were getting calls and demands for them to come back for a return performance. So they're going to be back with us. Of course, we're going to be talking about the district championship game against Denton Ryan this coming Friday. And then in our third segment, we're going to be joined by volleyball coach Claire Gay. Her team really, really hot right now. They're on the verge of winning the district 5-5A championship, so lots to get to. And before we get started with Coach, let's give you a quick update on Centennial quarterback Iverson Moore. You might remember he got hurt in the second quarter of that game and was taken off the field on a stretcher. Had a chance to visit with the Centennial head coach Kyle Geller over the weekend. Said that everything seems to be going very well in terms of Moore's progression. Seems to be improving all the way. Should be okay, and so that's a really good sign. And I know, Coach Jones, you were out there on the field when that unfortunate injury happened to Iverson, and so it kind of changes the whole tenor of the game and that sort of thing. And so, but a good sign that he seems to be coming on the other side of this.
Yeah, a good thing that he's going to make it, out of that 100%. We kind of felt that way even when they were going to load him up on the stretcher. He was moving his arms, his legs. Everything was good. It was just a precautionary measure to make sure everything was good.
Yep. Okay, so let's just talk a bit about your 42-0 victory over Centennial. I think we all were expecting a game where you might get pushed again, but you all set the tone early. You get the ball to start and score. You get the stop, and then you guys are able to score again. Just the way this team has been so polished in the way it has approached its starts. What's really impressed you, not only from what they've done so far, but what you've seen from them in this game against Centennial?
Right, just the consistency that we've been able to go out and execute. One of the big things that came out of this game was the third down execution. We put ourselves in some third downs, which we don't like to do, but we were able to overcome those and get those third downs and turn them into touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, you had a 3rd and 10, you had a 3rd and 5, you had a 3rd and 15. I'm like, that's not the way you really want to live your life on offense here, but the explosiveness that you have with this group at least allows you to have the opportunity to convert those.
Right, yeah. We have some guys out there that can make a lot of plays. That's a good thing. We don't like getting in those situations. That's a credit to Centennial's defense. Centennial's defense is a lot better than what some people might want to give them credit for. They're pretty talented. They do a really good job, of stopping the run, and that's why we had so much success with the pass game, was because they were so concentrated on trying to stop the run.
Yeah, I was impressed with their defensive front. Their nose tackle was pretty good. I mean, they run that 3-3 stack, and it seemed like, they were, for a couple of plays, they kind of made things difficult for you guys.
Yeah, and they were moving around quite a bit, with those guys, those 3-down linemen. They didn't just, sit there where they were lined up. At the snap of the ball, they were, slanting one way or another, trying to make it a little more difficult on us.
Let's talk a little bit about the way you all approach this offense. So, of course, their flex bone option attack. And I think the one thing, because I had an opportunity to talk to Brad McCone, the defensive coordinator, right after you and I did our coaches show before the game on Friday night, was that he said you all actually had the opportunity to work for multiple weeks in preparation. I mean, again, the schedule being what it was, you all could actually afford to maybe take a period here and there. But that really seemed to pay off because you didn't really give them much of an opportunity to execute it. Maybe a couple of runs by Keyshawn Tucker, but that was about it.
Yeah, they threw a few little new wrinkles at us, that they were able to have some success with. But, we took a couple of periods throughout the previous weeks to work on them a little bit so that our kids would be a little more familiar with it. I think it also helped us the fact that we have so many returners coming back from last year that faced it twice.
We talk so much about eye discipline. And a couple of things we talked about last week was, assignment football and them being patient, but maybe eye discipline, something we didn't really talk about as much, and you really have to have that as well to complement the other two factors.
Yeah, and our kids did a really good job of that. They gave us a little bit more motion than what they normally do, and what they were trying to do was they were trying to just basically line up in something different, motion to one of their normal formations to run their base plays, and our kids did a really good job of picking up on that.
Okay, so I want to transition to your offense. You guys, again, as we mentioned a few moments ago, that you've scored on the first possession. 7th time in 8 games you've done that, and I think, if any coach wants to have his team get off to a quick start, you couldn't ask for a better way than that. I mean, you couldn't draw up a start to a game any better than what you all have experienced through the first 8 games of the season.
Yeah, and that's always one of the first goals that you have starting the game off is you want to have a really good drive that first offensive series, put points on the board, and then have your defense come out there and maybe get a quick stop and get the ball back to you.
And that seemed to be working out pretty well for you. I mean, offensively, is it just because of the fact that this is such a veteran group and they know what to expect, they know how to execute the game plan, that it's not going to be like we need to kind of get to know each other and kind of get into the flow of the game before we can start hitting?
Right, yeah, that experience helps, and it doesn't hurt to have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation back there running your offense, so things just have been working out really well for us, because of the fact that we have guys that know their job, and then they go out and execute their job.
You had a lot of faces come back last week, Ray Guillory being one, also got Caden Finley back, got Hawk Daniels back, and what did you see from that? How much rust was there, or how quickly were they able to transition and get into the flow of things?
I don't think there was a whole lot of rust there. It was good to see those guys out there being able to, run and be healthy and contribute to the team.
I think with Hawk, of course, he shared with us after the game with Mercedes about his mom fighting breast cancer and how he was playing for her. But I actually thought, and Kyle and I were talking about this during the game, that we thought that it was probably the best game that he's ever played at Aledo High School.
Yeah, it was one of his best games that he's had. He was doing a really good job, running great routes, blocking out on the perimeter, and then also, we used him in the backfield some.
In terms of that, what do you think that does for him from a confidence standpoint moving forward, and what he could mean for your offense?
I don't think Hawk lacks any confidence. He's pretty high on himself, and he has good reason to be. He's a tremendous athlete, and he goes out and he does things really well for us and makes plays for us.
Okay, defensively, you get Carson Dempsey back at one defensive end spot. You limited his snaps, but what did you see from him in terms of just his productivity and what you all could do and when you had to sit him?
Yeah, that game the other night, that's not really, he's going to do a good job for us rushing the passer, and that wasn't that type of game last night. But he did a really good job of, executing his responsibility and being a physical football player up front. He made a couple of really good plays for us where he didn't make the tackle, but he took out the blockers that allowed for our linebackers to get there, unblocked.
Kind of like influencing the play in some respect.
Yeah, I mean, if you can go out and you can take out some of their blockers that are trying to work up to a linebacker, and you let that linebacker run free, it helps out the defense quite a bit.
Kind of reminds me of, too, like a nose tackle, where he may not have a lot of tackles in the course of a season, but if he's plugging things up, allowing linebackers to fill gaps, that's when you really notice his.
Yeah.
And again, different position, but you know what I mean.
Right. And that's basically what it was. He would squeeze on the tackle, keep the tackle off of Davhon, and then they had a guard pulling one time to try and kick him out. He got underneath that kick out block, blew it up, and the play had to bounce out to an unblocked outside linebacker.
So let's talk a little bit about as far as just how much more you can use him this week. And obviously with Denton Ryan and the district championship, we'll talk about that in a moment. But moving forward this week, is there a chance that you could probably use him, quote unquote, for a full games, or are we still building up to that?
No, I mean he's going to be full go. We're still going to rotate guys like we have been, just to try and keep fresh bodies in there. But I feel like he can probably play a little bit more than what he did last week.
All right. Bearcats are going to be playing for the District 3-5A Championship this coming Friday against Denton Ryan. It's a 6:30 pregame show on 92.1 Hank FM. The kickoff is at 7 o'clock. the Raiders are coming off their bye. And again, they're only playing 9 games this year. They were supposed to have a game in week 2 of the season. However, that got scrapped, and so they couldn't find a game to fill that spot. So they're about as well rested as you could be in a team like this. But again, for the district championship, what stands out about this team? They may not be the most explosive offensive team that you're going to face, but they don't beat themselves either.
Right. No, the defense is what stands out the most for those guys. They got a really good defense. Their defensive front's going to be as big of a defensive front as we're going to see all year. They're physical. They're big. They can run. Then back in the secondary, they're fast. So their defense is the main thing that sticks out. And then over on their offense, number 2, I believe his name is Braden Mussett. He's a really good football player. They line him up out at receiver. He's hard for people to cover. He's caught a lot of deep balls for touchdowns, and then they bring him into the backfield as a wildcat quarterback and use him in the run game. So he's their main cog over on offense, but then on defense, they got a lot of really good football players.
And he's kind of like their Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, so. He is.
So they run this 4-2-5, which is with 3 safeties, and there's some youth on that defense, but pretty physical guys. And of course, when you're coming through a program like Ryan, you're just going to be a good football player. And so what's the challenge there, because of the fact that there's just going to be a lot of athleticism that you're going to be facing?
And similar to last year, they graduated a lot of really good football players last year off of their defense. And basically they're running the same stuff. They're running the exact same defense. They've just plugged some younger guys into the spots where they had guys graduate. And it's a defense that we've gone against several times. Sometimes, the 4-2-5 gives us some trouble. There's other times where we're able to navigate it, because it's real similar to what Coach McCone does to us during the spring. So our kids have a little familiarity with it. A lot of the stuff that we work on, all year, when we're going against ourselves, we can run against Denton Ryan.
And their physicality, as we talked about on defense, but their running game too. They're averaging over 200 yards a game, so that's going to be requiring a lot of work from your front and, of course, your linebackers.
Yeah, that's the responsibility that we're putting on our defensive line and our linebackers is to, slow down them in the run game. If we can stop their run game, I feel really good about our chances.
All right. And one thing I wanted to go back to was your offense. Now, this was something that the Deacon provided to us in the game last week. This was updated on this. You all have had 86 possessions so far through the first 8 games of the year. You've scored a touchdown on 55 of those. That's 64%. I don't think I've ever seen a number like that, but that speaks to the efficiency, the leadership, and just the chemistry that all these guys have. But, that's a ridiculous percent, 64%.
Yeah, and that's, goes to the preparation. It starts on Sunday, or actually it starts on Saturday when we break down the video of our opponent, and then we go in and the coaches, we game plan and come up with a plan of what we're going to do to attack the defense, and then the kids come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, learn the game plan and go out and then execute it. And we've done a really good job of executing the offense this year.
Now, we talked a few moments ago about the return of Carson Dempsey, and you said all the guys on the offense were pretty much rust-free. There really wasn't an issue there. But in terms of what you want to see with those guys moving forward, what's going to be important for like a Guillory or Caden Finley, or just for Hawk? You talked about Hawk a few moments ago, but just from those guys, what do you want to see from those guys moving forward?
Right now, we just got to stay healthy with those guys. If we can keep those guys healthy, they're going to be very productive for us right now. Not 100%, so they're not going to be as productive, which means that we might have to bring a guy like Davhon over to run the football a little bit more.
Yeah, and you haven't needed him much this year.
We haven't had to, much this year, but this game it looks like there's a good possibility we might need to bring Davhon over. We also may need to move Hawk back into the backfield a little bit more and put Burdine out in his slot. So those are, options. Those are things that we can do. And it all really depends on, how healthy Ray is, how well he's running. And if he's still kind of gimping around a little bit, then we'll go more with Hawk and Davhon, kind of like we did last year.
And you touched on Ray, and I'm glad you brought him up, because the fact that 34-yard touchdown pass that he caught, that's not an easy ball to catch, but it just shows you his his skill level, his ability to make a play like that.
Right, yeah, I am. I've been talking to a lot of college coaches here recently about him. That's one of the things that I bring up is the fact that he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's not just a running back. He's a guy that they can use in the passing game. I told him we've thrown a couple of touchdowns deep to him. We've thrown a lot of balls out in the flats to him, and he's turned them into big gains. So he's not just a one-dimensional type of football player. He can run with the football, and then he can go out and he can make plays in the passing game as well.
And you'll split him out, too.
Yeah. When we get in our empty stuff, which we call loaded, but we'll get to more of that. Once, like I said, once he's a little more healthy, we can work on that, a lot more. But when he's limited practice-wise, because he's having to work with Coach Little on his ankle, it limits the things that we can do with him.
Okay. So as far as a game like this program has been through a lot of these games over the years, state title games, state semifinals, whatever, but district championships. And I don't ever want anyone to either lower the expectations of what a district championship means, because that's like the first step of trying to get to where you want to go to the weekend before Christmas. But what's it like playing in a game like this when you have a lot of things riding on it?
It's like playing a playoff game. It's not loser go home, winner go home and loser goes home, but it's kind of like that, that type of atmosphere. It's a playoff atmosphere. It's good for our kids to have that type of atmosphere before we get into the playoffs, and Denton Ryan, they're no joke. They're a good football team. It's going to be a really competitive football game, similar to what we had with them last year.
Right.
That was a heck of a football game. It's going to be physical. You're going to see a lot of kids flying around, a lot of fast football players on the field. So it's going to be a fun night.
Okay, before we go with you, obviously we will not have a podcast next week because you all have your bye, and so we'll be back here in 2 weeks. But I wanted to ask you in terms of, because your bye comes so late this year, what's kind of the plan? Do you basically give all the guys how much time off, or how have you all kind of mapped that out?
Well, what we always do is we give them the weekend before off. Normally we come in Saturday morning and we'll put them through a little workout and watch a video. We're going to back that up. That's going to be what we will do on Monday. But then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to have some practices. Okay. We'll give some guys that need a little time off to heal. We'll give them some time, but we like for them to be out there, doing drills, going through, trying to work on the basics and stay in shape.
And of course, if everything goes the way you hope it does against Denton Ryan, where you all win the district championship, that can also give you an opportunity to maybe go out and start scouting District 4 or 5A, those schools down like Belton, the Killeen schools, that sort of, and Red Oak.
Right. That Friday night, what we'll do is we'll have the staff will split up and go different places to go watch different teams, depending on who it looks like we might play, first round, second round, stuff like that. All
right, Coach. Well, we'll look forward to it. Again, the Bearcats and the Ryan Raiders coming up this Friday at Tim Buchanan Stadium, which will be dedicated, by the way, this coming Friday. Pre-game show on 92.1 Hank FM is at 6:30. The kickoff is at 7 o'clock. We hope you make your plans to come join us. Should be an electric atmosphere, just like it was at the Collins Complex last year when the Bearcats won 35-21. And, of course, we're looking for a huge crowd for that game this coming Friday night. Coach, thanks so much.
Hey, one more thing. We're basically fighting for a district championship on all levels. Our JV, their JV's undefeated, our JV's undefeated. Same with the freshman groups. I've talked to a couple of different coaches in our district that have played against Ryan, and they say it's one of the best freshman teams they've ever seen over at Denton Ryan. So that's going to be a really big challenge for our freshman group. So that's going to be at Tim Buchanan Stadium on Thursday night. So if people want to come out and get a little preview of what's going to happen on Friday night, come watch the freshmen.
Absolutely. 2025, 2026 on display in 2023, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, all right, Coach, thanks so much for the time, and good luck to you on Friday. We'll see you out there on Friday.
All right, thank you.
All right, Robby Jones, the head coach of the Aledo Bearcats. And in the second segment, we're going to be joined by quarterback Haus Henjny and linebacker Davhon. Stick around. These two will be joining us. And then don't forget, in our third segment, we're going to be joined by volleyball coach Claire Gay. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Power pistol formation. Guillory stands in the backfield. It'll be a keeper by Henjny. Tries to break a tackle. He does, and he gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Aledo Bearcats.
And that was the third touchdown the Bearcats scored as they jumped out to a 21-0 en route to a 42-0 lead over Centennial. Welcome back to the Aledo Coaches podcast here on 92.1 Hank FM. Of course, you can always get your podcast wherever you download your podcast. Also, you can get it on the 92.1 Hank FM website. Before we get started, let's give you a reminder that we're also brought to you by H5 Sports Barn. H5 Sports Barn and Nye Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training. H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats. Time now to take a look at the Aledo Alumni Watch. And, of course, just a couple guys that are just breaking into the college ranks. No appearances for them just yet. Defensive end Ansel Dimba, who was on the state championship team last year, is at Washington State. And, of course, Jalen Pope, who was previously committed to Air Force, then was picked up late in the recruiting cycle at Oklahoma State. He is now in Stillwater. And, of course, the Cowboys got a big win over Kansas. So Washington State was previously ranked in the top 25. They got a big game, I think, with UCLA this week. And, of course, just a couple things to watch. And then, of course, Cody Bradford with the Rangers. The Rangers who are up 2-0 in their series in the American League Championship Series against the Houston Astros, has not made an appearance yet, so just kind of keep on a watch on that. Okay, now time for our second segment. Again, back by popular demand, I'm joined to my left is quarterback Haus Henjny and linebacker Davhon. Please give them a warm welcome. Or don't. All right. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about just the season at this point. We talked right after the game against Parish Episcopal and Haus. I want to ask you a little bit about just the way that you've been able to navigate this offense, run it the way you have. Just what has come to you that you thought maybe has come a little bit quicker, a little easier for you, and what's been maybe the challenge for you still with this offense running it?
Really, it just came down to experience. I really just picked up where I left off after my junior season. And, going into my junior season, I really wasn't comfortable in spring ball, which that kind of affected me going into the season, where I kind of just had to become comfortable throughout the season. And, by mid-season, my junior year, I was comfortable in the offense and had a grasp of it. But spring ball my senior year, or it's my junior year, but I just had to, pick up where I left off my junior season and build chemistry with new receivers, which, I've been working on since my sophomore year. Trace Clarkson, he got hurt going into his junior season, and that was kind of a Debbie Downer, but I kind of picked up where I left off with him because, all sophomore year after that season ended, I was working with him, hoping that he would have a big junior season, and sadly he didn't because he tore his ACL, but it's been great. I'm just, enjoying these last moments with my best friends and having fun throwing the ball around, and having a great O-line helps too, and having a great running back next to me helps a lot too, so it's been fun.
Davhon, let's talk a little bit about you. I mean, you've already created 3 turnovers. You've blocked a field goal this year. I don't know. I imagine you could have asked for a start to this season like you have. Just how do you feel like individually it's gone for you to this point?
I feel like it's gone really well. Ended last year on a high note and picked right back up this year, starting off the season with 2 interceptions. It was definitely great, and it's getting to showcase all the work I put in throughout the summer, all the work we've put in, especially as a team.
So let's talk a little bit about, this is senior night coming up. We talk about the district championship with Denton Ryan coming up on Friday, but this is also this is senior night for you guys. And I'm wondering if, and of course, there's the possibility that you all could actually play another game at Tim Buchanan Stadium in the bi-district round, but we'll get to that, whenever that happens. But I want to ask you both about the fact that this is it. This is coming to the end, and it seems like it's moved so fast for you all. What runs through your mind after all these years, Haus, and where you were, and then here we are coming toward the end with obviously what you hope will be 8 more games to play?
Coming in my sophomore year, the summer going into my sophomore year, I was like, dang, I got 3 more PCs. I'm like, this is going to take forever. This is going to be a grind, which it was. But, like you said, it's senior night this Friday, and, I wish I could have those memories back or relive those memories that I've had throughout my 3 years at Aledo, because this is a special place, and I was blessed to be able to be a part of this place. And I'm really just got to take it all in this Friday night and just thank all the people that supported me throughout my high school journey at Aledo, because like I said, it is a special place, and I'm just trying to leave a legacy at Aledo and leave on a high note. So yeah. Okay,
then for you, Davhon.
It's definitely been a fast journey. It's been hectic since the beginning. Freshman year, having to move up on varsity, play with the big boys. I was brought in. All the seniors, they helped me along the way, and I'm truly grateful for that. And as I've progressed, I'm trying to develop myself into the seniors that they were, trying to mentor the younger people and lead them in the right direction.
All right, so let's just talk about it. There was a moment for each of you all when the light came on, where you were able to play at that level to where obviously you all now are Power 5 commits. Davhon is committed to LSU, for those who don't know, and Haus is committed to TCU, and both of these gentlemen will be enrolling in their respective schools in January. Davhon, I think for you, let's start with you. And just, was there a game maybe that we all don't think about where maybe just all the light came on, it clicked for you, you got it, you knew you could play at this level, and you knew you could play at a high level to where you have an opportunity to play at the next level in college?
There was no real specific instance. Starting freshman year, I was at safety. I had a good grasp of safety, but I wasn't necessarily the best. And then going into my spring season, I transitioned to linebacker, and immediately the transition just felt natural. And I felt like linebacker was a position I could excel at. And ever since that day that I got switched, it's just been going up since there.
All right, and then for you, Haus, what do you think it was?
Last year, going throughout my junior season, I played decently well and progressively got better through each game. But, this time last year is when I started playing my best football, or I guess last year, where we played Burleson Centennial for the first time. It was a big game. They were undefeated. We had 2 losses under our belt. We were so hungry and, starving to prove ourselves right, which is what we were trying to do all season. And going into that game, I was just going to play for God's glory and, put the trust in his hands, and I was just going to play my heart out. And that's what I did. And, we came out on top, and I played one of the best games of my career up to this point. And that's really when the light clicked for me. And, from that point on, all throughout playoffs, I was playing my best football. And,
Yeah, we were talking about on the air was that this game last year was when it kind of really, where you evolved. You and I have talked on several occasions about that smash route to Gavin Olenjack against the Colony, where that's where maybe it started to take that turn for you. And then the game against Centennial last year, where then it started just changing the other direction. What have you learned about playing the position since the Centennial game of the responsibility of playing quarterback?
Really just comes to trust in your offensive play calls and trusting what the defense gives you and trusting your receivers to
make plays with the football and getting the ball in their hands and just preparation and knowing what the defense is going to run against this certain look and what they're going to do against this pass concept. Just like I said, having trust. So yeah.
And Davhon, for you, I would imagine that you lead by example. You'll kind of chew when you need to chew. But, what's it been like just trying to set that example for a lot of younger guys? Because you've got some younger defensive linemen in front of you here. But what's it been like just trying to help get the next generation of Bearcats ready so that they can succeed as well?
It's definitely been a learning experience. Started off, I wasn't the most vocal, and I had to learn, adapt. I had to become more vocal. I had to not only lead by example, but lead with my words as well. I had to learn to direct, and it's definitely been great improvement since the beginning of the season, and I'm looking to continue to improve, continue to inspire, and keep helping.
All right, so the Bearcats taking on the Denton Ryan Raiders this coming Friday night. 6:30 is the pregame show on 92.1 Hank FM. The kickoff at Tim Buchanan Stadium is at 7 o'clock. And, guys, this game was epic last year. Tied at 21, then you guys were able to score a couple touchdowns. Haus, you had the 87-yard touchdown run, which I think you were here too when DJ said DJ Williams was trying to race you down the sideline for that, and then gave up and said, "I'm going to the PAT team." But I want to go back to last year's game a little bit because of just how exciting it was to be a part of that. There was the Midlothian game, of course, in the playoffs. And, of course, the Longview game. But just take me through just the ebbs and flows of that game last year at the Collins Complex. I'll start with you on this, Davhon.
It was definitely an intense game. Denton Ryan came out firing on all cylinders. They hit an early touchdown, and we had to overcome a lot of adversity. We had to bounce back and come together as a team. We had to start flying around and making our own plays, making turnovers. And once we came together as a team, Denton Ryan didn't score anymore.
All right, and then for you, Haus, just what was it like being a part of that game?
That was a great game to be in. That was probably one of the most fun games of my career so far. Just because of the trust that we had in each other, offense and defense. We were determined to win that game, and you could see it in everyone's eyes. You could see it in the coach's eyes, nobody was, losing their composure. We were all keeping our composure, knowing that we were capable of winning that game. And, going into those last two drives, tied at 21, in the huddle, before we went out on the field, I was like, what a moment to be a part of, to have the opportunity to take your team to victory on a game-winning drive, to seal the deal. I was just looking up at the stands at the crowd, because you can't take those moments for granted, because it can be gone just like that. And you just got to feel blessed to be in the moment. And that's when you play your best football, when you're relaxed and just having fun. And that's what I was doing out there. I feel like that's what we were all doing out there. And that's what helped us win. So
I was going to say, we got the offensive line's perspective on the 87-yard touchdown run, but I want you to take me through it. And Davhon, I'm going to ask you what you're watching on the sidelines when that's coming there. But what you saw on that play, and then you were able to get the block, and then you were able to spring it, because you're running away from some pretty fast guys too on Ryan's side. Just take us through what you saw on that play.
So it was the opening play of that drive, and we were on the sideline, we're in our huddle, and Coach Jones was, he's figuring out what we're going to run next. And then, most of the night we were running, quarterback run plays to the strength of the formation. And, he called the quarterback keeper to the, the weak side of the formation, and they didn't expect it, so it was a great play call. And all I had to do was, outrun one dude, which I did, thankfully. And, my O-line got their blocks in, and my left side receiver got his block. And, it was just a race from that point. So that was a fun play to be a part of, a one and done, and, let the defense get back out on the field.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, is anything going through your mind as you're going down the sideline on that, knowing that you're going to be chasing, saying, or do you just like saying, or are you so locked in there saying, I've just got to try and get to the end zone and forget what, or what's going through your mind on a play like that?
I mean, I was locked in on getting to the end zone, but I kept on looking back, and I kept on seeing this guy in the corner of my eye. I was like, I better not let this guy catch me. That's gonna be embarrassing. So I did everything I could to gut that one out, but he was a fast dude chasing me.
All right, Davhon, just what do you see about that play, the way that unfolded?
So I didn't have a good view of the line of scrimmage, so I didn't see it till the later half. But I was watching, I was trying to find who had the ball, and I just see Haus fly past me. And he was taking off, he was breathing heavy, getting his knees up, and that's all she wrote.
That's kind of like running out of fear or running out of excitement, one of the two, right, on that? And so
the game was on the line, so I was just trying to get in the end zone in any way possible. So yeah.
Okay, so let's turn our attention to this week's game. Obviously, Ryan's defense is what it is, the 4-2-5. They're going to run three safeties, and they're pretty young on the defensive side too. They've got a pretty good mix of experience and youth. What's the challenge that they're going to present with this offense?
They got a really, really good defensive line that is big and strong, and they got really fast linebackers, really skilled DBs who are good at covering, and they'll come downhill and hit you. They're good tacklers. So really, it's just playing disciplined football and playing the brand of football that we know how to play, and coming out with a sense of purpose and intensity that they can't match. And if we get up on them early and we stay on them, we should be able to put them away. But like I said, we got to come out with a sense of purpose and intensity that they can't match.
All right, and then Davhon, obviously, they're not an explosive offense, but they're a physical offense, and they've averaged 200 yards a game rushing the football. So what's going to be critical for this defense in terms of being able to contain that? They're going to get a couple runs here and there, but what's going to be critical for you guys to at least keep them in third and long situation where they're going to have to play, if not behind the sticks, but near where they're going to be facing some real challenges on their side?
So off the bat, flying to the football is going to shut down the run game, getting there with bad intentions, and forcing them behind the sticks early, putting them in second and long, and then force them out of their comfort zone, force them to throw the ball. Overall, just play responsible football, play aggressive, play physical, and fly to the football.
So obviously this game is a little bit different than what you guys dealt with in previous weeks with Saginaw, with South Hills and Azle, that sort of thing. Fun is it to prepare for a week like this, because it's been a lot of people will look at this and say it's a 2-week season with Centennial and Denton Ryan, and now there's the intensity, there's that you've got to get back up, and so this is why you want to play varsity football. So what's it been like these last 2 weeks getting ready for these games? I'll start with you, Haus.
It's exciting. It makes you a little bit more excited getting up for practice in the morning. Especially after 4 weeks of, it's been fun going to practice and playing these games, but. You have something to really look forward to going into these two games, because they're going to be big time. Everyone's looking forward to watching these games. So, you know, it gives you a little bit extra boost in the mornings. You know, get up ready to go to prepare for these guys. So it's been exciting. I'm ready for Friday night.
Okay, and then for you, Davhon.
Like Haus said, you can feel the energy just waking up in the morning. You're excited to go to practice. You know you have a great team ahead of you, and you can feel the energy right once you walk in the locker room. Everyone's excited. Everyone's locked in. Everyone's ready to go practice, go work hard, and go get ready for this game on Friday.
You know, I want to talk to you a little bit about Davhon, just getting back to Burleson Centennial last week. I mean, you guys shut them out. Third shutout for this defense this year, by the way. And I want to ask you a little bit about, because I was talking to Coach Brad McCone about this, and that you all were able to mix in a period here and there leading up to this game, so that you guys essentially had like 6 weeks to get ready for Centennial. And it looked like you guys did have 6 weeks the way you shut them down. Did that come as, I don't want to say easy, but was it surprising to you how well you were able to control their option?
It definitely wasn't surprising. The week of preparation we had leading up into Centennial, it was an extremely focused week. Everyone was on their P's and Q's, playing their responsibilities, laser focused. And then even the weeks leading up to it, where we'd only have a period where we're going through Centennial's offense, we were playing hard, playing physical. We were focused on our responsibilities. And I just knew come game time that we'd be ready for them.
All right, let's talk about this defense. Third shutout. What do you like about this defense this year?
I love the intensity about us. No matter what it is, it could be pass or run. We're flying to the football. We're getting after whoever has the ball. If the ball's in the air, we're getting the ball out of the air. We're forcing turnovers. We're getting those TFLs. We're getting those sacks. We're getting the big-time plays that you look for. And that definitely brings a different kind of level to the defense.
Now, I was going to say, and it looked like at the end of the Centennial game, even though the bench was emptied and you had a lot of second and third teamers in there, that there's a lot of pride to finish that game, to get that shutout. What was that like on the sideline trying to get that thing finished where Centennial didn't score?
There was really no drop-off. The energy was always there since the beginning of the game. Once the second string went in, they were energized. They were going hard. They were playing physical because of all the week of preparation we had. They knew that if they had to go in, they would have to be ready. And they came out ready. They came out hard.
All right, should be a lot of fun. Okay, the Bearcats and the Ryan Raiders this coming Friday night at Tim Buchanan Stadium. Pre-game show on 92.1 Hank FM is at 6:30. The kickoff is at 7 o'clock. To my left is the quarterback, Haus. To my far left is the linebacker, Davhon Keys. Gentlemen, thanks so much. Folks, let them know that you were happy to have them with us tonight. And guys, thank you very much. Oh, one other question I was going to ask you about real quickly, Haus, and that was throwing to Blake Burdine. This is I said this in the broadcast against South Hills. You have a TCU legacy throwing to a TCU legacy there, because obviously Blake's dad is Landry Burdine, and who's the analyst for TCU Radio. What's it been like, though, just working with him a little bit?
It's been really awesome. You know, we've been running track together since my sophomore year when he was a freshman. We've been on the 4x4. So, you know, we've gut checked some 400s together, and it's been special to be able to, you know, not only, you know, win medals on the track with him, but to roll that over onto the football field and give him a few touches and touchdown passes. It's been fun, and the most pumped I've been all year was when I threw Blake his first touchdown pass. You know, I was hooping and hollering and just so happy for him. It made my heart feel good to, you know, see him get a touchdown pass. So, you know, Blake's a special kid and a good kid, and, you know, he's an Aledo Bearcat for sure.
Yeah, about a 14-yarder in the back right corner of the end zone against Sagan on homecoming, if memory serves on that. All right. Want to remind you that H5 Sports Bar and Eye Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats, with expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training. H5 Sports Bar, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats. All right, guys, thanks so much.
Thank you.
In our third segment, we're going to be joined by volleyball coach Claire Gay as her Lady Cats are cruising toward the playoffs, and we'll talk more about them coming up. Thanks so much. We're sticking around for our special third segment. And welcome back. Special third segment of the Aledo Coaches Show. Now we're joined by Aledo volleyball coach Claire Gay, and Claire's team has already clinched a playoff berth for the umpteenth consecutive year. I think it's 8 straight years now that your team has made it under your leadership here. They are 28-8 overall, 9-1. They have the lead in District 3-5A. Excuse me. And they will finish their regular season actually with 3 games, but their district season will end this week. Tuesday, they will be at Saginaw High, and then on Friday, they will be at Brewer out of White Settlement. They can wrap up the district title. If they sweep, they can clinch a tie for the district championship with one of these wins. But, Coach, welcome, and glad to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this team because, you know, you all made the playoffs last year. You finished second behind Northwest. but there seems to be a different, I don't know, chemistry, aura about this team where they, rattling off a 28-win season. That's not easy to do in high school volleyball.
No, it's not.
But let's just talk about what you've learned about this season since you all got started in August.
August seems like so long ago. Yeah, July 31st was our start date this year, and from the beginning, this group of girls has really just been very impactful with one another, and they've really decided that they would stay like as a cohesive group moving forward, and that they wouldn't let the outside the lines dictate how they treated each other as a team. And they just have had such a wonderful relationship on and off the court, and they really just care about each other. They support each other. They cheer each other on. The girls that have the different roles than maybe just playing all the time have just stepped up big time and just created that energy that our team needs. But at the end of the day, like, the support that they have for one another is it's immense. It's just amazing to watch.
Let's talk a little bit about as far as like what's fueled this run, because you all you play such a difficult, demanding non-district schedule. I mean, in years past, you guys would go down to Volleypalooza down at Leander. I don't think you went there this year, if memory serves.
Yes, we did not. We decided to switch our travel tournament where we could see different teams down to the KDISD Inside Fair tournament. And, the Houston teams are extremely athletic. They're very good at volleyball. It was just different, and it was the first weekend. So when you're in the middle of school and missing that much school, sometimes that just it drains you on that third weekend of play. So we just kind of wanted to switch it up and take that first weekend of really tough volleyball play, or in a tough tournament. And then we came back and had the Gauntlet of Northwest tournament. And then we finished at the Arlington Classics, tournament, which was a little bit more set up for our season best of 5 games instead of like best of 3. So it was really a good switch, I think, for our girls. And then by that third weekend, we weren't just dragging, and there wasn't a ton of injuries at that point, which in the years past, that Volleypalooza is it is a tough tournament, Rouse does a very good job bringing in very good teams, and so that third weekend, if you're tired or if you're injured, it's really tough to get through that tournament. So
I was going to say that, and imagine too that can also, because since that is right before you get started with district play, maybe you have a couple of other non-district weeks before, but it's just as you mentioned, the grind of it can kind of just you may not have the start that you want for district play.
Right. Well, we just feel that. Like I said, we tell our girls all the time, August is the gauntlet. And if you can get through August and get into September and get to your last round of, preseason games heading into district, and you're healthy, you're, still motivated to be good teammates, your energy's still high, I feel like that's the compilation of necessary tools to get into district play and do a good job in district.
Now, this program, again, is on a 9-match winning streak. You lost your district opener to Justin Northwest, the reigning district champion, and I'm sure everyone's going, well, it is Northwest, they're really good, and we'll bounce back. But, again, 9 consecutive match wins. You all did obviously beat Northwest on your second meeting with them, swept Granbury, too. What's it been like what have you seen that some of the common denominators that's fueled this 9-match winning streak?
Honestly, team chemistry is what's driving this. Again, they are the most supportive group of girls for each other, and they play for each other more than they do themselves. And so that's like the huge driving force for them. I do believe that we're pretty balanced this year. I feel that our offense and our defense just work very cohesively together. So, offense does a really good job. Defense steps up when they need to. Our block is solid. We have hitters at all different parts of the net that are attacking the ball and finding space and getting those kills. And then meanwhile, we've got the back row that's giving our setter great passes and great digs to then, be able to set all of those hitters across the front line. And then when you're making kids or teams guess on defense, and that opens up a lot of space and a lot of opportunities for points.
Okay, so I'm going to go flip the script, and so since you talked about team, I'm going to ask you to highlight a couple of individual ladies, because for those who don't know your team as well as those who are close to follow, just highlight a couple of ladies who have really stood out for you, their years and what position they played.
We can start with our senior that kind of has been a really good leader for us this year, in Vivian Parker. She's committed to play at University of Missouri. She was injured for a little bit. She's come back and just really stepped up. But when she was out, I don't know, something that really is a wonderful thing to see as a coach is that she took that leadership role even on the bench and really was helpful on the bench and communicating to the teammates on the floor at the time when she was not in the game. We've got 4 other seniors that are great leaders in Skylar Lambert and Allie Anderson and Madison Widmeyer and Faith Brooks, and they really just, they've really stepped up in that leadership role and been very supportive of their team. A lot of the points are played right now by our junior class, and so we've got some really, really talented juniors, and they're just a really big class. I believe we have 9 of them on the team, and we start 4 or 5 of them, honestly. So, Kinley Elms has been a wonderful addition on the right side this year. She's playing at a very high level. She's finding a lot of space on the court. She's, I think, our second leader in kills, maybe. I'd have to look at the stats. But she's doing a tremendous job on the right side for us. And the right side is very hard to defend naturally in the game of volleyball. And then we have 2 junior middles that have stepped up and gotten a lot better this year. We have a junior setter who has stepped up in Ava Redding. Our middles are Haley Lowe and Ella Isbell. And then we've got, like I said, we've got a great defensive line and 2 juniors and a sophomore when it comes to Logan Denbo, Kenry Pruitt, and Ella Metter. And they've really just done a phenomenal job making sure that our setters have options. And you can't ask any more than that. And then we've got some kids that step in roles that we need them to, and Morgan Estevez, and she can kind of play all over the place. You can call her a utility player because she really can just play anywhere. She always brings a lot of fire to the court and a lot of energy. And then, we just have really good practices with the rest of our team. We've got a sophomore that's starting, Alyssa Todd, and she stepped up big time, especially when Vivian went out with an injury. And then we have a freshman outside that stepped in big when we, especially at that Northwest tournament when that injury happened, and we beat Highland Park. And that, those 2 outsides were really just doing a great job. And the freshman's name is Kaylee Berkeley. So overall, we've got just a lot of really good working parts. And if I forgot somebody, I'm sorry. I'm sure I did.
That's right. It's kind of like herding cats a little bit.
It is.
So, but as far as, one thing we talk about with really good volleyball teams that are going to make a deep run, and if you want to get to the state championship, you've got to be really good at the net in terms of the block.
Correct.
And so just talk a little bit about that, what you feel like that part of that team looks like at this point.
Our blocking is, I think blocking is just a very hard skill to teach. You can work on it all day, and sometimes it clicks and sometimes it doesn't, depending on what the other side of the net's doing. But I think that we have gotten a lot better at blocking as a whole this year, and I think they're doing a really good job of understanding what the block is meant to do, which is take up space. And, you love the block kills. They're really fun for the game, and they bring a lot of energy and a lot of excitement when you do get those block kills, but you really don't see a ton of those in a match. So them recognizing the role of closing the block and taking up a space for the defense to work around, they've done a really good job at just being very consistent and making sure that they close that block, and then our defense behind them just gets in the right position. And so that's been a huge help. So, obviously the first line of defense is the block, but and you just really have to be very precise and disciplined, and that's what they've done this year.
I mentioned this with football players where, playing the option, and I was talking to Davhon Keys about this, about eye discipline, but I would think too that eye discipline, really important factor of playing defense in volleyball as well.
Absolutely. And using peripheral vision is huge, and then reaction. We do drills like that in practice where they're having to react, and we don't know where the setters may be setting the ball on the other side of the net. And so the faster that they can quickly, decipher where the setter's putting the ball and closing that space is huge. And they've gotten so much better and so much quicker to do that this year.
All right, so let's talk about the finish of last year. You all were eliminated, unfortunately, in the area round, didn't win the district championship. I want to know how much that finish fuel to what you all have an opportunity to do this coming week.
I think that, what's on the table for these girls and what that they see that they can, do. They've not been a district champion solely in a handful of years, and I think that that's a driving force for them. I think that recognizing that it's been 5 years since we've been a district champion solely by by ourselves without a tie is a huge accomplishment in any district that you play in. I think that, they've got some fighting them to know what's coming, and I think that they're just mentally preparing. We talk about November just being the 4th lap in a mile race, and that's your fastest race, and you just have to go out and take ownership of that. And I feel that these girls together have really bought into what they want in the end of this, and this is a great opportunity for them to go pretty far in the playoffs, and if not, go all the way.
All right, and so you all kind of have the scheduling quirk too, where you all actually have the bye after your regular district finale at Brewer on Friday, but you did schedule a non-district match with Burleson, Deanna Newton's program over there in Johnson County, and I know that Deanna's team obviously is not going to make the playoffs this year, but the fact that they agreed to play this match, what will you hope to accomplish with a match like that next Tuesday?
I think that keeping consistent, just the consistency of the week, that routine is really important. We're on fall break right now, and that's always a little scary as a coach, like, bringing them in practice at a different time, not having school ahead of the day, is concerning sometimes, but the Super Girls have been disciplined enough to do what I've asked them to do in their off time and make sure that they're ready to go when we have to be ready to play. But I think consistency is key, and I think that keeping that routine is key. So I was very grateful that Burleson was willing to play us. We set this schedule up back in January, so she had no idea at this point that she was going to be out of it. But she called and said, hey, we've got some injuries, but we are still willing to come and play you guys because we know this is really important to keep that consistency in the schedule, and it gives them a chance to play one more game for their seniors or their program, and so or maybe gives us some of those kids that are not injured some opportunities to touch the volleyball. So we're very grateful that they were willing to play us. So it's just unfortunate timing to have that bye on the very last round.
No, that does. And the one thing about them, too, is that they've actually, even though they kind of got beat up a little bit early, they've been kind of hot here lately, too.
They have, and they have a very tough district. So it's going to be fun to see, that district is really hard to get out of.
Right.
And so I don't suspect them to just not play hard. I think that they just, will do what they need to do to play well against us, and in hopes, obviously, we play well back. So.
Right. And as you were mentioning their district, I mean, the challenge of that district, Centennial leads the district, and I think they're undefeated. And then you've got a really solid program in Midlothian Heritage, and Joshua's program is always really solid. So, yes. I mean, that's kind of like a line of fire on that district. And so.
Yes, and we haven't seen Midlothian. No, we played Midlothian early. We played them at that Arlington, I think the Arlington tournament, or we played them. It was Arlington tournament. We played Joshua in our scrimmage at the beginning of the year, and we set those kind of things up because we know that we would match up potentially with them. So it's nice to have kind of remember back in August, which seems forever ago, playing those teams. But we've not seen Centennial, so that would be a good match too. So it's just a tough district.
For sure. So let's transition now that you are clinched a playoff spot. As I always have to look ahead to the postseason, where you all, more than likely, regardless of how it finishes up, of course, we obviously are hoping that it'll be result in a district championship. But just talk about this, because it looks like you all would be opening up the by-district round of the playoffs 2 weeks from Monday. This Monday is the 16th. So it would be Monday the 30th. And just tell the listeners and what your playoff situation is, knowing that there's still some time to get this all sorted out.
Yeah, playing the 30th and the 31st are our two options for by-district. So obviously Halloween is not ideal for playing on. And so we would hope to play on the 30th. And I always try to play on a Monday, so it does give you more time to prepare. If you can get through that Monday match, it gives you a little more time to prepare for the Thursday or the Friday match that could potentially be after that. So, but yes, we've talked to some schools that we could potentially play, and are in hopes of getting that squared away this week, because they're kind of battling it out in that district that we meet up with as well. So we've talked to those coaches, and hopefully that Monday the 30th is when we'll play our first round. So.
All right, Claire, listen, thanks so much. Congratulations on the start so far, and we're looking forward to hoping that things will wrap up the right way for you all, at least from a district championship standpoint. Again, Tuesday night of this week, they will be traveling over to Saginaw High, and then Friday against Brewer out of White Settlement. Again, if the Lady Cats split that, which we don't want that to happen, but if they split, they would earn a share of the district championship. But if they sweep, they will be the outright district champions. First time in 5 years, you said.
I think it's been 5 years since we've been sole district champions.
All right, well, you got to sit on at the top of the pedestal. We'll wish you nothing but the best of luck on that.
Thank you.
All right, Claire Gay, the volleyball coach. Again, we want to thank you all for being out here at Jake's on 1187 for this week's edition of the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. No show next week because the Bearcats have the bye. But we'll be back in 2 weeks on the 30th, so maybe we'll have an update on the volleyball match if that happens. So anyway, we'll figure that out as we go along here. Don't forget the Bearcats fighting for the District 3-5A championship this coming Friday night at Tim Buchanan Stadium against the Ryan Raiders. And the winner will get, obviously, the top spot in the district. And so the Bearcats trying to, again, win their 23rd consecutive game against the Raiders. 6:30 is the pregame show on 92.1 Hank FM. The kickoff is at 7 o'clock with yours truly, Kyle Hicks, Mercedes Meyer, the Deacon, who always bails us out week after week, and Hayden Posey, our Aledo alum, is our engineer. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm Kevin Lonnquist. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you all in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show podcast, brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo, with Bearcats head coach Robby Jones and the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist. Please like and subscribe to this podcast and tell a friend. You're also welcome to join us in person every Monday night at 7 from the new Jake's Burgers, 601 FM 1187 in Aledo. And then listen to every Aledo Bearcats game, home and away, live on 92.1 Hank FM, on the free 92.1 Hank FM app, or online at 921hankfm.com. The Aledo Coaches Show podcast is a production of Real Country, Hank FM.